In the heart of the city, in a quiet neighborhood where the breeze carried the scent of blooming flowers and soft car horns hummed in the distance, lived John and Sarah, a couple once full of passion, now drifting like strangers under the same roof. Sarah, a sharp and driven businesswoman, worked in a major corporation. Her mornings began before sunrise, preparing breakfast, ironing her suits, and checking emails with one hand while sipping coffee with the other. John, a tech-savvy programmer, worked remotely from home and made good money. But while the house stayed in perfect order, the warmth of their love was slowly melting away. Every day, John watched the front door close behind Sarah, and every evening he heard it creak open again, only to see her sink into the couch, laptop in hand, whispering about deadlines and business deals. The dinners were silent, the bed was cold, the laughter they once shared had become a memory. One night, after she brushed him off yet again, John stared at her through misty eyes and said, "Sarah, please. I know you work hard. I respect that. But I miss us. Can we just make time, maybe an hour each day? Just you and me." Sarah looked up from her screen, brows tightening. "John, are we not together already? At least when I'm back, we talk." "No," John's voice cracked. "You don't talk. You type. You work. You're always somewhere else, even when you're here." She sighed, placing her laptop aside. "I'll work on it, okay?" she said dismissively, brushing his concerns away like dust on her blazer. But things didn't change. Days passed. John grew quieter, the ache in his chest heavier. Each time he reached out for affection, he was met with a headache, a sigh, or a turned back. Then, one afternoon, John, hungry and frustrated, spoke again. "Sarah, I'm tired of eating noodles and canned food. You know I can't cook. Let's hire a maid, just someone to help around the house." Sarah blinked, a bit surprised. Okay. I'll ask one of my friends." The next morning, a young lady named Hannah arrived at the gate, a quiet, respectful girl in her early 20s. As she stepped into their luxurious home, John welcomed her warmly and showed her around. She started cooking almost immediately, the scent of freshly made stew filling the air like a forgotten memory. That night, Sarah and John sat on the bed, eating a proper meal for the first time in weeks. "Did you like her cooking?" Sarah asked, smiling faintly. John chuckled. "She's good. Not like you, but still good." They laughed for a moment, but as Sarah turned back to her laptop, the laughter faded again, swallowed by the glow of her screen. John turned away, his heart heavy. He didn't know it yet, but a storm was coming, one that would test the very core of their love. Hannah quickly settled into her role. Every afternoon the house smelled like home again. Jollof rice, egusi soup, sometimes yam porridge. Her presence brought back a rhythm the house had long lost. But no aroma could fill the void in John's heart. Sarah remained the same. Kind, responsible, but distant. Her hugs were brief, her kisses colder. And the bed, the sacred place where their love once bloomed, had become a line drawn between two strangers. John kept trying. He brought flowers, he planned a surprise dinner. He even turned off all the lights, lit candles and played their wedding song one quiet evening. But Sarah came home late, she barely noticed. When he reached for her in bed that night, she whispered, "Not now, John. I have a meeting first thing tomorrow. My head is pounding." John lay back, staring at the ceiling, the silence screaming louder than words. The next day, Hannah was in the kitchen humming a soft tune as she cooked. John wandered in, his heart heavy, hoping a conversation might distract him. "What are you making today?" he asked, leaning on the counter. "Ogbono soup and pounded yam," she said, smiling gently. "You seem tired, sir." John hesitated. "I am, He looked at her, the kindness in her eyes, the warmth in her voice. Something he hadn't felt in months. "Hannah, it's been 5 months since my wife and I, you know." His voice trailed off. Hannah froze. I don't mean to make you uncomfortable, he said quickly. I just needed someone to talk to. I feel invisible in my own home. She swallowed hard, stepping back from the pot. Sir, I came here to work. I understand you're in pain, but this isn't something I should be involved in, please. John looked ashamed. I'm sorry, I'm lost. He reached out and touched her shoulder, but Hannah pulled away. Please, sir, don't do this. Her voice shook. Respect your marriage. Don't pull me into your pain. She quickly grabbed her bag and left. John stood in the kitchen, heart pounding, guilt wrapping around him like chains. When Sarah returned that evening, she asked casually, Where's Hannah? She got a call. Her mother is sick, John lied. I told her to go and check on her. Sarah nodded, barely reacting, and went straight to her room with her laptop in hand. That night, John sat alone in the living room, staring at their wedding photo. In it, Sarah was laughing, eyes closed, arms wrapped around him like he was her whole world. He touched the frame, a tear falling down his cheek. How had love turned into this? A week passed since Hannah left, but her absence lingered like a quiet echo in the house. The food wasn't the same, the silence felt heavier. And Sarah? Still buried in spreadsheets and Zoom meetings. Then came Esther. Sarah's younger sister, full of energy and life, had just returned from the university for her break. She entered the house with the lightness of someone who had no idea how dark the atmosphere inside was. Big sis, she squealed, hugging Sarah tightly. This your house is still fine like Instagram filters. John smiled weakly as she turned to him. Brother John. Welcome home, Esther, he said, managing a warm tone. Her presence stirred a breeze of something new, something hopeful. But hope is a fragile thing. 3 days into Esther's stay, she began to notice things. The way John looked at Sarah with longing eyes. The way Sarah brushed him off without a second glance. The smiles were forced, the conversations dry. It was a house built with love, now filled with cracks. One morning, after Sarah rushed off to work, barely saying goodbye, John paced in the living room, restless, hungry for connection, touch, anything. Esther emerged from her room, tying her robe. Brother John, good morning, she said cheerfully. John hesitated. Then something inside him snapped. He rushed to her side, his voice trembling. Esther, please, I need you to help me. She frowned, confused. Help you how? Been dying inside, he whispered. Sarah has shut me out completely. 5 months, Esther, not a single touch, no affection. I'm a man, I have needs, feelings. Esther stepped back, shocked. But she's your wife. You can't say this to me. John moved closer. Please. I'm not asking for much, just a little comfort. I swear I'll make it worth your while. I just want to feel alive. Esther's eyes widened in disbelief. What? Are you hearing yourself? I'm your sister-in-law. John fell to his knees. I'm begging you. Don't judge me, just help me feel again. Esther's heart raced. She could see the desperation, the brokenness, but she also saw the danger. John, you need to pull yourself together. I'll talk to Sarah, I promise, but this isn't right. Tears welled in John's eyes as he stood and walked back to his room. That evening, Sarah returned, exhausted as usual. As she dropped her handbag, Esther met her in the hallway. Sarah, we need to talk, she said, voice firm. About what? Sarah barely looked up. About your marriage. About John. Sarah rolled her eyes. Esther, don't start. I'm tired. I've been working all day. Exactly. That's the problem, Esther snapped. You're always tired. Your husband is starving for your attention and you don't even see it. And then... slap. Sarah's hand flew across Esther's cheek. You just entered my house and now you want to teach me how to be a wife? Esther held her cheek, eyes filled with tears. Not from the pain, but from heartbreak. She whispered, "Then I pray you open your eyes, before it's too late." And she walked away, leaving Sarah trembling in silence. The house was silent the next morning. Esther stayed locked in her room, her cheek still sore, her heart even more so. Sarah moved around the house like a storm cloud, ashamed yet too proud to apologize. And John? He was crumbling quietly. After the confrontation, something shifted in him. He felt both guilt and resentment. Guilt for cornering Esther, resentment towards Sarah, who didn't seem to care how badly he was drowning. John lay in bed for hours, staring at the ceiling, his mind a whirlwind. Then, around noon, he got up and walked down the hallway. He stopped in front of Esther's door. His hand hovered over the knob. He knew this was wrong. He knew. But he knocked anyway. "Who's there?" Esther called out, wary. "It's me," John said softly. Esther opened the door slightly, her face cautious. "What do you want?" "I just want to talk. Please." She sighed, stepping aside. John entered and sat on the edge of her bed. Esther stood near the window, arms folded. "You shouldn't be here," she said, voice low. "I know," he replied. I don't know what else to do. Every night I sleep beside a woman who doesn't even know I exist anymore." Esther's eyes softened, but she didn't let her guard down. "That doesn't make this okay. I tried to talk to her. I begged her. I planned dates, surprises, everything. She always has a headache or a laptop in her hands." "Then talk to her again. Don't come to me." John stood and walked closer. "I'm not here to disrespect you, I swear. I'm tired of begging for love in my own home." Esther shook her head. "You're not tired of begging. You're tired of being rejected." John reached for her hand. "Please, Esther." She pulled away, heart pounding. "Don't." But John didn't stop. He moved closer, placing his hand gently on her arm. Esther gasped. "Your wife is in your bed, and you're here?" "She said she's tired. She's always tired." John's voice cracked. "I'm losing my mind. I just need someone." Esther backed away, then stopped. Her eyes narrowed as an idea sparked in her mind. "Fine," she said. "You want this so badly. Wait, let me get you something first. It'll help you feel better." John blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" "Just sit down." "I'll be back." Esther walked to the kitchen, her hands shaking. She opened the cabinet, found the small bottle of sleeping pills, and crushed 2 into a glass of cold water. She returned with the drink, her heart pounding. "Here, drink this. You'll feel calm. Then we'll talk." John, eager and desperate, gulped it down. Minutes later, his eyes drooped. He slumped onto the bed, unconscious. Esther ran to Sarah's room and shook her awake. "Come now, come see the truth for yourself." Sarah followed her groggily to Esther's room and froze. There lay John on Esther's bed. "What is this?" Sarah screamed. Esther turned, tears in her eyes. "You wouldn't believe me, so I had to show you." Sarah stood frozen at the doorframe, eyes locked on her husband sprawled out on her sister's bed. The blanket barely covered him, his arm hanging off the edge, lips parted in deep sleep. The room felt like it was spinning. No, Sarah mumbled, backing away. "Esther, how could you?" Esther's face crumbled. "Sarah, please, it's not what it looks like." Sarah's voice turned to a scream. "He's in your bed!" She lunged forward and slapped Esther across the face, harder than the first time. Esther stumbled back, but didn't retaliate. Tears filled her eyes as she reached for her sister. "Let me explain." "Explain what? That you seduced my husband while I was out working my life away for this family?" Sarah's voice cracked. "You've always been jealous. I gave you a place to stay, and you pay me back like this?" Esther broke down, falling to her knees. I didn't do anything with him. I swear, Sarah, he came to me, not once but twice. He begged me. I kept saying no. He was desperate. I tried to talk to you, but you wouldn't listen. Sarah's hands trembled. She looked at her sister, then at her unconscious husband. He begged you? She whispered. Esther nodded, choking back sobs. You were too busy. You never noticed how empty he's been. I told you. He's breaking. I didn't know how else to make you see it. Sarah staggered backward, sitting on the edge of the bed, her head in her hands. I've been so focused on work, trying to build something for us. I didn't know it was falling apart right under me. Esther crawled closer. I didn't betray you. I protected your marriage the best way I knew how. But why didn't you tell me earlier? Sarah whispered. I tried, Esther said softly, but you slapped me before I could even finish a sentence. Silence filled the room. John stirred and mumbled something incoherent. Sarah looked at him with a mix of disgust and pity. This wasn't the man she married. This was someone broken by loneliness. And maybe, just maybe, part of it was her fault. The weight of guilt pressed on her chest. She turned to Esther, her voice quieter now. I'm sorry. For hitting you, for not listening, for making you carry this alone. Esther wiped her tears. It's okay. Just don't lose him. Not if there's still love. That night, when John finally woke up, groggy and confused, he saw Sarah sitting quietly beside him. Her eyes were red, but not angry, just tired. I know everything, she said softly. Esther told me. John opened his mouth, but Sarah stopped him. Don't say anything, just listen. I've failed you. I let my ambition drown our love, but you almost destroyed us completely. John lowered his gaze, shame washing over him. Tomorrow, she said, standing up, we talk, like we should have months ago. And she walked out, leaving him alone with the pieces of what they once were. The next morning dawned quietly, but tension lay thick in the air like a fog that refused to lift. John sat in the living room, hands clasped tightly, eyes fixed on the floor. He hadn't slept. The images of Sarah's face, hurt, disappointed, distant, haunted him more than any nightmare ever could. When Sarah entered, she didn't sit beside him. She took the armchair across from him, back straight, face unreadable. I said we'd talk, she began. So? Talk. John swallowed hard. Sarah, I'm sorry. I mean it. I lost my way. She nodded slowly. Why? Why didn't you come to me again and again until I listened? I did, he said, voice hoarse. You were always too tired, too busy. I felt like I was living with a stranger. I felt invisible. You think I didn't feel the distance too? Her voice cracked. You think I didn't notice the silence? But I was trying to build something for us, for our future. I just didn't realize I was losing you in the process. John looked up at her, eyes glassy. I didn't want to betray you. I was starved. Not just for sex, but for affection, for connection. I felt rejected again and again, until I couldn't breathe. And so you turned to my sister, Sarah snapped. Do you know how that felt, walking into that room, seeing you on her bed? I didn't sleep with her, John said quickly. I swear to you. I was desperate, yes, but I never crossed that line. She stopped me. She protected what you and I still have, even when I didn't deserve it. Sarah's expression softened. Just a little. I know, she whispered. She told me everything, even drugging you just to make me see the truth. Silence stretched between them. I slapped her, Sarah admitted, ashamed. Twice. I thought she was the villain, but it was both of us. Me for ignoring the cracks, you for looking elsewhere instead of fighting harder. John leaned forward. I want to fix this. If you're still willing to fight, I'll do anything. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes. I don't know if we can go back, but maybe we can try to move forward. She reached into her bag and pulled out a folded piece of paper. John looked at it. It was her work leave approval. 2 weeks, she said. No meetings, no work. Just us. John stared at her in disbelief. You do that? She nodded. If we still have a chance, I want to give it everything. John stood slowly, crossed the room, and knelt before her. I'm sorry for making you feel second to your own home, he said. I'll never make that mistake again. Sarah touched his face, wiping away the tear that rolled down his cheek. We'll rebuild, she whispered. Not for who we were, but for who we can still become. And in that moment, raw, painful, honest, they finally saw each other again. The sun filtered through the curtains gently, casting golden warmth across the room as Sarah stirred awake. For the first time in months, she wasn't rushing to answer emails or pick out a blazer for the office. She turned to find John already awake, watching her quietly. Good morning, he whispered. Morning, she replied, her voice soft. There was no awkwardness between them, just a cautious peace, like two people carefully stepping across the cracks of a bridge they were trying to mend. The first few days of her leave were quiet. They spent time together, meals at the dining table, not in silence but with laughter and light conversation, walks in the evening, a trip to the beach. Slowly, the air between them began to clear. One night, as they sat on the balcony sipping tea, Sarah broke the silence. I met a version of myself I don't like, she admitted. So busy chasing success, I forgot to nurture the one thing I already had. You. John reached for her hand. And I became a version of me I promised never to be, weak, desperate, willing to cross lines just to feel wanted again. She turned to him, eyes moist. Thank God for Esther. John nodded. She saw what we were both too blind to see. They sat in silence for a while, letting the stars fill the quiet. The next morning, Sarah asked Esther to join her at a nearby cafe. It was awkward at first, but over steaming cups of cappuccino, tears were shed and forgiveness slowly poured in. I'm sorry for not listening, Sarah said, voice trembling. And for the slap. Both of them. Esther smiled faintly. I was never angry, sis, just hurt. But I'm proud of you, for trying. Back home, John surprised Sarah by converting the guest room into a cozy reading and bonding space, a symbol of their new start. There were no grand gestures, no sudden magic, just slow, intentional steps. They began couples therapy. They set rules, no work talk during dinner, no phones in bed. Small yet powerful changes. One afternoon, while folding laundry together, John paused and held up one of Sarah's blouses. Remember this? He grinned. You wore this the day I proposed. Sarah laughed, taking it from him. And you were so nervous you almost swallowed the ring with the ice cream. They both burst into laughter, the kind that had been missing for far too long. That night, as they lay together, Sarah reached out first, not just with her body, but with her heart. I still choose you, she whispered, even after the storms. John wrapped his arms around her. I'll never stop choosing you, every single day. They kissed, not with urgency, but with deep understanding, a kiss that tasted like forgiveness, like hope, because love wasn't always loud or perfect. Sometimes love was quiet, broken, but real love always found its way home. What would you do if your partner started emotionally drifting away like Sarah or John? And have you ever experienced something similar in your relationship? How did you handle it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.